Hi guys, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about first aid kits and what you want, what you need, and what's probably a good idea to have. Now, laid out here, I have three different, well, basically a trauma kit, first aid kit, more advanced first aid kit, a light trauma kit is what I refer to it as, and then a heavy trauma kit, missing only just a couple things. This would be more for advanced people that are advanced trained, that would want something like this to have the training behind them. But for the basics, what we'll go into is just a simple first aid kit. This is the type of first aid kit you can pick up at Walmart for backpacking and hiking and stuff for day trips. And this is a good little first aid kit for having. It's basically just your general. It's got a little compass. I have in there a little hank of 550 cord, some Motrin, which is always important, band-aids. I keep a toothbrush in here and toothpaste, along with a little first aid wrap, a whistle. Then in here has got some tweezers, some you got band-aids and small stuff. This is burn gel, pack, small butterfly bandages, alcohol pads, some tape, and then it's just got simple different size band-aids and everything that you could possibly need, with antiseptic wipes. This is pretty much your basic first aid kit, and this is pretty much good for most anything that you need, like if you go backpacking or if you're first, for a day hike or anything like that. Now this is basically designed, it's not designed for trauma or anything of the such. When you get into trauma, there's different levels of it. There's different levels of trauma, and it all comes down to what can you deal with. That being said, all of these, it doesn't matter what they are, aren't going to do you a damn bit of good if you don't have any training behind you. You could have a whole OR of everything you need to rebuild the bionic man, and if you don't have any training, forget it. You're not going to get anywhere. All you're going to do is sit there frustrated as a person suffers. So this is a little more advanced first aid kit, and as you notice, I keep my first aid kits marked with glow-in-the-dark tape so they can always be seen even in the dark. Now this one is a more advanced one. This one I make sure I have gloves in it. It's got compression wrap, tape. It's got quick band-aids for whatever's needed. It's got your antiseptic wipes, your and alcohol pads. It's got more high-end tweezers in it. This has got a secondary amount of band-aids and everything. This has got a small, I wouldn't even call it a tourniquet. This has got a small rubberized tourniquet like they would use if they wanted to draw blood at the phlebotomist. So it's enough to, if you're having a real problem putting direct pressure on something to stop the bleeding, you could probably use that to tighten it down a little bit better and hold it. It's got a this one, it's got just a triangular bandage, just a gauze roll, some other gauze pads, and this one's pretty good for what I consider and what I would want to bring with me for anything that's a little bit bigger or a longer period of time. For me, I carry in this one also 550 cord. This here is an Israeli bandage, which I believe pretty much anything above a simple first aid kit that you're going to bring backpacking with you or anything should have an Israeli bandage. They've been proven to save lives. Scissors, any type of shears work great. Pull the Israeli bandage out. I have larger amount of pads in here, and then a large pad that would cover for a chest wound or anything like that, or abdominal cut. Now this thing doesn't have a tourniquet in it because I wouldn't consider this a true trauma kit. So this is basically a first aid, and if I had to, I could crank down that Israeli bandage tight enough to make it kind of like a tourniquet. It's not going to necessarily stop the gushing blood. This thing has only one thing that's missing, and a lot of people would say it's missing quick clot. I'm not a firm believer in quick clot. I've seen it work. I've seen it do its thing, and it does it well. Problem is with it is that it has a tendency to cauterize a wound. So if you put it on something and it's gonna stop the bleeding, but it's gonna cauterize, it's gonna burn. And because of that, when later on I talked to doctors, and one doctor was in the military, and he was telling me that outside of being a doctor in the military, he's also a civilian doctor, and he said that numerous times when they use quick clot, he has to cut a lot of material, dead material out, and burned material inside of a person's body, which means that you're gonna have a huge wound when they try to clean all that out, and they cut all that out and they remove it. So I found I like Celox better. It seems to work better. It goes into a wound and opens up and expands and fills it up and clots it that way rather than doing a chemical cauterization. Now this is more of a trauma kit. This one I just picked up a little while ago. This is from PX Hero, and it's pretty good. They designed it pretty well. It's very similar to the blowout kits that the military issues. It's got a couple things that I like. It's got a couple things that I wish it had, and it's got a couple things that I really don't care for. It's got a huge amount, huge tape. I mean, this thing's monstrous, which is fine, but it comes with the paracord. It has a whistle. It has a CPR mask, which is great. Has a whistle. Has a little light, which is nice to have, so you can check pupils and stuff. And it actually has a little gauge on the side here, so you can actually tell whether or not, which is good to be able to indicate, if you got the training, you can indicate whether the person has a brain injury, because one eye will dilate different than the other. This also has which is nice, which is a thermometer. It's got a small little thermometer you put against the forehead, and it'll tell the temperature, which is good, not necessarily always accurate. It's got tweezers. I've taped these up because I want to keep popping open. So it's got another small little tape, and then without tearing everything apart, I put in more because it didn't have enough, what I would consider enough band-aids, but this does have Celox, which is great for stopping blood, and it's got more band-aids that I put in. Number one thing you need in a first aid kit is band-aids. You people are going to need band-aids. They're going to need basic gauze pads and tape. Other than that, if you can find anything that helps stop bleeding, like a clotting agent, you can get it over the market, or over the counter, I mean. It's good stuff to have in any type of first aid kit. And then this one's got a larger gauze pad. This has got a nasal pharyngeal airway along with lube, which is good. This is what they use in the military and they train you on. It works better than any type that you try to put in the mouth, because if someone's going to fall, they're likely to break. If they hit their face hard, they're likely to break their jaw, knock their teeth in, something like that. And you're not going to be able to stick something in there, especially unless you can control the pain without them screaming, and they're going to be wanting to punch you in the face. So one of these lubed up, you can stick it through the sinus, through the nose, down in, and they can breathe a lot better. That's only if you absolutely needed it though. And there's another gauze roll. Now this one comes with a different form of, got my gloves, different form of an Israeli bandage. It's not quite the same as the other ones, which is pretty good. This one will work pretty decently. This kit comes with a rat tourniquet, which better than nothing if you really got to stop the bleeding. This thing though, you better know how to use it and be able to crank it down good. It takes a little bit more practice to know how to use it than a cat tourniquet. A cat tourniquet I have in my trauma kit here, and I find that it works a lot better, especially in a real emergency. If things go bad, you're going to want something that you can actually do one-handed. And then I have simple, I added to it eye drops. Eye drops are important to have in any kit you have. You never know when you're going to have to flush your eye out, which is really nice to have. This one actually came with some Blistex and some Tylenol, stuff like that, which is good. This I would consider, considering the size, this is actually a really good kit to have. For the price, it's not bad. The only thing I would want to see done differently in this is more band-aids in this one, and a cat tourniquet rather than the rat style. I don't really care for these too much. These ones, because they're small, they're going to cause a lot more pain than necessary, and the person's already going to be pissed off and in pain if you have to use something like this. But key being, you're trying to save their life, so you do what you have to do and get it done. I'm not going to dive into my trauma kit all that much, but I'll give you a quick rundown and an idea of what that has in it. Now, mind you, like I said, you have to have the training. Are any of these perfect? Hell no. Will they work and save your butt? Yes. Anything's better than trying to wrap it with duct tape. The old joke about mechanics and guys, just wrap it in duct tape, it's good to go. That's all well and fine until later on when they have problems, and then they wonder why they're spending thousands of dollars in the hospital because they wrapped it in duct tape and they didn't clean it out well. They were working on their truck, and all of a sudden now they have huge infection. This is a condensed, basically a condensed form of a trauma kit. This is like a CLS pack that the military would have, short of lactated ringer, which I would love to have, but I don't want the weight. I really don't want the weight. Lactated ringers are great to have, and have a saline lock and all that. That's great to have, but unless you have the training, again, it's not going to do you any good. And all you're going to do is carry around extra weight. And this one right off the top, cat tourniquet. These things are great. So keep that. This is Celox. This is a applicator for it. This right here is like a syringe. You stick it into a bullet wound and you just squeeze it in, and it sets these little white tablets and it packs it into the wound, into the channel, and it'll expand right up and stop the bleeding. These things are great. I've had medics, I've had surgeons, I've talked to numerous guys that have had to use them in combat too. They didn't have them back when I was in. They have them now, and they're being raved about. This one's got a saline wash for like rinsing out your eyes and or a wound. This has got all kinds of different pads, and it's got some huge ones. It's got a couple of wraps. It's got a quick syringe for flushing, and that's that compartment. Now this one is more designed for a bug out vehicle, something, you know, if something goes bad, it's going to go bad, real fast. And you're going to want to make sure you have what you need to stop pretty much anything. But is this perfect? No. If you wanted a really good perfect kit, you're talking probably a 20-pound pack, and it's going to be like a backpack. And most anyone that's a medic in the military can tell you they're a pain to lug around all the time. See how this thing's got Israeli bandage too, along with more bandages, you know, more rolls, because you're gonna have to change them out. Now, if someone got hurt and you're waiting for help, you're gonna be waiting a while, so you're gonna be having to render the first aid for as long as possible. And also, this one's got one of these, which I don't care for. This has got also nasal pharyngeal airway too. This is a last resort type thing. It's the type of thing where if I'm using the nasal pharyngeal airway for one person, this would be going to a secondary person if it was absolutely necessary. It's a triangular bandage. This is it's got a thermometer, and I have plenty of gloves in here to switch out, because if I'm going from one person to another, I'm going to be switching out my gloves. I'm going to be switching them out fast and often. You can't really do much if your gloves are all covered in blood all the time. And then in the front, I have, this has got more advanced stuff. I have burn gel, also just a simple wound seal. This one will help stop blood, which is good. This one is yeah, it's wound seal. I have all kinds of different band-aids. Right here, they have clamps and tweezers if I have to clamp something off. I have Neosporin. I also have liquid skin, pain relievers. I have a suture kit in here, and if anyone's ever seen one of these, this is Novocaine, so I can suture up with a syringe, so I can suture up a wound if I have to. And there's a suturing kit right here. So, but if you don't have the training, it's not going to do you much good. So, this is just a rundown. Are any of these kits perfect? No, not in the least. Like I said, will they work? Yeah, they will. This one goes with me everywhere I go. Like if I'm going on a trip or anything, it's good to have something like this, because you don't know if you're going to come across a car accident or something where you need to help somebody out. One of these is probably best for an EDC kit and your vehicle. You know, keep this in your vehicle and stuff. This one right here, it would be also either an EDC kit or your backpack or your vehicle all the time. One of these ones right here, simple. I would keep this type of thing. This I keep in my backpack all the time. It's light. You know, it's not even probably 12 ounces at the most, if that. Now, when it comes to weight, I'll take a little bit more weight with one of my kits over something else. If I can go lighter something else, I'll trade off to carry a little bit more weight and have what I need in a first aid kit or a trauma kit with me, so that if something did happen, you know, and it's usually not if, it's when. So when it comes down to it, you want to make sure you have what you need. And it's important to get the training. Get the training whenever you can, whenever there's classes available. If there's paramedics that will actually take their time out to help you out, and show you different stuff, and you know, firefighters that are, you know, qualified, ask them. If you can talk to nurses, anyone that's got any type of real medical training that's in the medical industry or the medical field, it's probably great to pick their brain whenever possible. Ask them some of the things that they've dealt with. You know, one of the biggest things right now, one of the biggest dangers that this first aid kit, none of them, trauma kit, nothing, is going to stop me from getting: Lyme disease. Now, the biggest danger here is ticks crawling on me. Did I find some? Yes, I already found some on me. So, but like I said, this is a light first aid kit, a heavier first aid kit, light trauma kit, heavy trauma kit. After this, something like this, you're talking, you know, you have a lactated ringer, you have everything you need for like a paramedic. And I'm not going to go that far because I don't want to carry the weight or the room. So I hope this gives you a rundown that what you basically need in a good individual first aid kit. It's important to realize what type of situation you're going into, what type of first aid kit you're going to want. So that's why I carry, you know, everyone asks, so what do you have in your kit, or what do you recommend? I recommend having multiple kits. I recommend having getting the training and having a small minor kit, a larger kit. You know, if you want to have 5 or 6 different types of first aid kits all the way up to a full trauma kit, go right ahead. If you want to spend thousands of dollars on having all of this, go right ahead. As long as you got the training, you can use it. Just remember, everything has a date and it has to be replaced. That means you're going to have to spend more money to get it replaced. That means you're going to have to go through every once in a while. You're going to have to mark off on the back side, put a piece of tape or something, mark off when you need to go through it in another 3 months. And you're going to have to go through and look to see what the expiration dates are on things. If they expired, get rid of them, you know, get new stuff. That's pretty much everything to cover first aid kits. So I hope that covers most anything. If you have any questions, you can always ask me and contact me. So if you like this, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again.